Being the son of a president is very, very difficult, as proven by the news. Being the son of arguably the most famous president of all time, well, that's some pretty big shoes to step into. However, this week's American Loser went ahead and did just that. We're talking all things Kermit Roosevelt here this week on American Loser.
Fill her up!
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
On the edge they take the throne, built on bones of those unknown. Coming first, never last, still erased from the past. I am an American loser. No one remembers my name. No legacy and no future. One step behind in the game.
All right, folks. What is going on here? Gas Digital, you guys are getting it here first. It is the podcast network that is fighting the good fight here, folks. My name's KP Burke, and welcome back to another episode of American Loser. With me, of course, this week, my guest, my most famous recurring guest, also my most problematic guest.
Problematic.
My dilf of a dad, Larry Burke, is here. How are you, sir?
We're doing great, Kev. We're doing great. KP, I guess we're using stage names? Or
yeah, stage names, that's right. I can't have people finding out it stands for Kevin Patrick.
Name. Yeah, right? Kevin Patrick Burke.
One commenter.
How did we ever come up with KP?
Well, I got called JP enough that it's a career derailment here for me.
There we go.
But real quickly, I want to say thank you to, number one, all the fans that check out the show. Really appreciate you guys. Numbers have been way up, especially over on YouTube. Thank you so much for that. This show is my passion project, and I'm very lucky that people are believing in me and helping make this thing happen. So that being said, please use promo code LOSER and get yourself $1 off a month over at Gas Digital. If you guys want the entire back catalog, if you're new to the show, you're just figuring out what we do here, which is, by the way, put the spotlight firmly on second place in American history. I actually got described, the show was described as dark history the other day.
Dark history?
Yeah, dark history, wormholes. I was like, oh, that kind of is what we do here.
Well, to a certain extent, yeah, I would go along with that. But
we don't mean
time,
for it
I think
to
we're
be.
putting the spotlight, as you say, firmly on second place, but at the same time, the spotlight on people that have never been spotlighted before. So
that would be why this week is a perfect week to talk about our loser this week, which is Kermit Roosevelt, one of the sons of Teddy motherfucking Roosevelt. All right, TR, we're big TR fans here on the show. Like, how can you not be? I like pro wrestling. You're going to like Teddy Roosevelt if you like pro wrestling. That's kind of how it works. Real quick in the booth, just got to say thank you to the Dominator. All right, Dom is in here, man. Appreciate it. He's holding it down big time.
You know, Harrington's not here. It's taking a lot off my toll, but I don't think that's the right phrase.
But we appreciate you, though, and I know, and we actually get to talk about your home country in this week's episode, too, Dom, so I'm very excited about that. And then, of course, the lovely Jorge here doing us a favor. Hanging out again, Jorge. You're just the man in general, buddy. I appreciate you.
Yeah, ever since I took over the breastfeeding duties for Harrington, it's been quite the whirlwind, but it's fun. And
you showed up here and you were just like, I'm going to make great content. I'm going to hang out with famous comedians, occasionally a middle from New Jersey. And then instead, now here you are raising a child because Mike Harrington is disabled. Although, by the way, guys, I wanted to read this on air. I forgot. I have a text message from Harrington. He sent it 4 separate times, so I don't know exactly what he means by this. But Mike Harrington, our producer, has been missing for a little while, folks, if you don't know. The text I got from him is, my physical address is 130 Green Meadows Lane, Fayetteville, Georgia. The dogs are in the enclosed pool area. Garage side door is open. I don't know what that means. I'm not sure. You guys know? I'm confused too.
No, I mean, that's quite very specific. Is that like something that you have like an inside phrase or something? Is it supposed to unlock something?
I'm not sure. I know he got a Bowflex recently.
Oh.
And I don't know what's going on with that one. Anybody who gets this joke, you guys get 1,000,000 points. If you understand that joke, go ahead and leave it in the comment section. But Harrington supposedly might be returning to us. We'll see. That was a very ominous text message to receive from him. But Harrington's living his best life here, folks, and we're going to get right into this one here, too, because I like getting a chance to shoot the shit with you here, Dad. And by the way, this is my father, not U.S. Marine Corps Dale Dye. I think he was a colonel or something like that. People think that you're... People think, right? Yeah, they think you're a famous actor that was like in the movie The Rock and stuff like that.
Okay.
But very quick breakdown here. It is the Roosevelt dynasty, folks. They are as difficult to talk about as any family because you shake the Roosevelt family tree, something interesting is going to fall out.
Absolutely. absolutely. An ass kicker is going to fall out of that tree for sure.
All of them. One of our most popular episodes we ever did was actually about Alice, who was Teddy Roosevelt's daughter from his first marriage, who was kind of the first socialite, really. So she's a character in her own right. Every one of the Roosevelt children is going to be a character here. But we have to break down one quick thing. When we talk about Roosevelts, you hear FDR and TR come to mind, right? So those are the two, the
Franklin
premier.
Delano and
Franklin Delano and Teddy. As we said, his middle name is motherfucking. I don't know if you guys knew that. But here's the bottom line. You have two branches of this family, if you will. If you think of them in like Game of Thrones types theory, it's here's what it is. You have the Hyde Park Roosevelts. That's the FDR Roosevelts. And then you have the Oyster Bay Roosevelts, which is TR and the boys. All right. They're the Long Island Roosevelts. They're wild. They're crazy. They are just like their dad. And he has a bunch of kids here because he has his first wife. She passes away after giving birth to Alice, but he does have a bunch of other kids over here. Alice is a great story in and of herself. If you haven't checked her out, she's in the back catalog. We did a reel on her for Instagram. She's just an American icon. And then this guy is got a fascinating life, but he's literally lost because if you're looking at the Roosevelt kids, you really don't get past Alice. You're like, oh, hang on, a very pretty young girl living in the White House, smoking cigarettes, drinking booze, keeping a pet snake, voodoo dolls of other first ladies, making fun of the Kennedys. I mean, she was, you don't really move past her.
Yeah, you weren't putting a muzzle on Alice, that's for sure.
No, not at all, which is why this part is great. It's what I love doing about this show. You and I both said, you came up with a topic. You said you wanted to cover it. Let's cover Teddy Roosevelt's son. And so I said, that sounds like a great idea. And so I started doing my research about today's loser, which is, his name is Kermit, by the way. If you're going to be Teddy Roosevelt's son, you got to be tough. If you're going to be named Kermit, you better be.
You better be.
Yeah. It ain't easy being green, baby.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
So you wind up reading about a different Roosevelt son, and we didn't correct this until a couple of days ago.
Yeah, actually, Teddy Roosevelt, or Theodore Roosevelt, the president, was Theodore Roosevelt II, because he was named, obviously, after his father. And then Theodore Roosevelt II, his firstborn son, Alice was his firstborn daughter. His first wife dies, and then he remarries and has a pack of kids after that. But his firstborn son is Theodore Ted Roosevelt III.
T3, folks, the good one, not the bad sequel.
And then the next child is Kermit Roosevelt. No pun intended. No joke. But that was his name, Kermit.
This is before Jim Henson ruined that name for everybody.
Yeah,
it's like that joke out of Office Space.
Absolutely. And in my own personal life, I mean, I've got two older brothers, and it was tough living up to their expectations or their achievements, if you will. I can't imagine what Kermit Roosevelt had to do with trying to live up to his father's expectations. And then his older brother, Ted Roosevelt, he was his own man in his own right. And I think we'll get into that in a little bit. But
100%. The Roosevelt family is nothing but, it kind of reminds me of that movie, The Iron Claw, about the Von Erich wrestling family. Each one of them is their own. They're all built to be these animals that they are. And by the way, I always think about this too, especially with this topic. You are my dad. We're covering this episode here. We're talking about Kermit Roosevelt, who's going to try to live up to the footsteps or live in the, emerge from the shadows of his extremely famous father. And then I think about that with you, and you're a successful guy. You had your own remodeling business. You're a retired teacher, dedicated dad. And then I remember, I'm like, how do I live up to that? And that's when it clicks. I'm adopted. I don't have to do shit. All right, I'm off the hook, man. I'm just, genetically, I'm just some rich kid from the Jersey Shore who, didn't want to get locked down, So it's, I'm here because of Catholic guilt, folks. That's why I get to exist on this planet. I'm teasing, but we're going to dive right into our topic here. This is what I like talking about. Edith and Teddy Roosevelt will have 5 children. Like you said, Dad, the first is named Teddy III, right? T3.
T3.
They then have their second son, whose name is Kermit. And I'm going to say it's rare to find a Kermit after Jim Henson hits the scene, but, this Kermit in particular was born in 1889. So it's pre-Jim Henson era here. Kermit does follow in his father's footsteps. He's also sickly as a child. A lot of people didn't know this. Teddy Roosevelt was not the big burly man in his youth. He was actually a little bit
he was very frail and asthmatic, and
Yeah, he looked like a pushover. You know, the
That's
kind of
right.
kid you shove into a locker.
he was the essence of the wimpy kid.
Oh yeah, and then they're like, "Oh, rich kid over there. Oh yeah, I'm from the Roosevelt family. I must be cool." And then he just goes, he almost goes Bruce Wayne, where he's like, "I have to go learn how to live off the land, and I got to teach myself how to fight." And he's doing, judo with, he's hanging out with like famous boxers and everything. He's doing a lot of hunting, which we're about to get into here. But I thought this was worth mentioning here. Kermit is a lot like his father early on. He's a sickly kid. But he's also an avid reader and writer. So that's really a big thing here. He actually will attend a school called the Groton School, which the Groton School serves as like a...
Fisherman?
Yeah, very, very close. Trust the Gordon fisherman is what you're thinking.
Oh, Gordon, I'm sorry.
Groton is in Groton, Connecticut, I think. They have a submarine base for the Navy up there. That was like a terrible place to get stationed. But the Groton School, the Groton School, weird fact, if you ever hear in, I'm sure... everybody's kind of heard this accent, that it's called the transatlantic accent. It's what you hear, like how whenever black comics make fun of the way white people talk, like rich white people, it's the go-to accent. Oh, I couldn't possibly be bothered for that.
Right.
That's a transatlantic accent, which back in the day was known as the Groton accent, because that's how they were. It is a funnel school, a funnel system for Harvard.
The hoity-toities of the time. That
You go to Groton, you're
speak
going to
that
wind
way.
up in Harvard.
Right.
That's how they set that one up. Now, Groton is, like I said, a feeder school or a prep school for Harvard, which Kermit will also attend. He actually stepped away from Harvard for a bit to spend some time with his dad, and this is the first of one of the very many... I'm going to be honest, Kermit's life is legendary. It's tragic, which is why we're covering it on this show, because if you try to make a movie out of this guy, and we are bringing back the casting couch segment, that'll be another animal here once Harrington is back from his walkabout.
Wherever.
Harrington's on walkabout. He's just got to figure himself out a little bit. But this is what we're... if you made a movie about this guy's life, it would be an amazing movie. And then the end would just make you so sad. You're like, I wish I didn't see this.
Yeah.
Why did you have to include this part? But this first trip right here, he's in Harvard. This is just a kid in Harvard. He's not really a badass or anything yet. He's got to prove himself on this trip. And
Yeah, and he's finally into Harvard. Well, Daddy Dearest also was a Harvard man.
Mm-hmm.
His older brother was a Harvard man, and both Dad and his older brother were in the very same exclusive club within Harvard. So,
I actually have something about that, but that comes a little later on. This
Yeah.
trip is before that, by the way. Did you know that?
before he was accepted into the club.
It's before he gets into that club and goes
Right,
into. So he's a brain. Like literally, his path to success. This is why the Roosevelts are cool. They are. They're. I'm trying to think of the right word here for it, but they are chaos personified. If you go to Groton School, you then go to Harvard, then you get a great job as a lawyer somewhere, and then you marry well, and then you just have a lot of wealth.
Right.
Or, hey, my dad, TR, is no longer president. He just left office after 8 years in office. So now Teddy Roosevelt, because he's Teddy Roosevelt, goes, well, I'm a president. I can retire. I can get my Netflix deal. I can put out a book and have my library. And Teddy Roosevelt's like, we're going to go kill 1,000 different animals in Africa.
That's right.
So Teddy's
for the
chaos.
collection.
Oh, yes. Oh, don't worry. It's for a good cause. It's for a good cause.
Right.
So, this is TR pretty much handpicked his successor. By the way, we will never cover TR directly on this show. He is the spirit animal of the show, but he's like he's too big of a topic. There's no part of his life you can focus on. But for those who know their history, and there's a lot of you that do, and loser devotees know us in and out, and it means a lot to have you guys migrate with us here over to Gas Digital. But a lot of you guys know this already. When TR leaves office, it's his hand-picked successor, William Howard Taft, is going to be running the country. And so TR goes, I'm not going to run for a third term, even though I'm allowed. He goes, I think it's time for William Howard Taft to take over. He's going to do a great job for you guys.
Yeah, they're both within the same political party, and they both had similar viewpoints as to the way the country should be moving forward.
Yeah,
and
it's
Teddy felt that we can.
TR looked at Taft. If you look at them in mustache and build and everything, like it's the way that I'm like a fatter version of Ben Affleck, is what I just got told recently, which finally a compliment, right? Finally a compliment. Used to be Kevin James exclusive kind of comments.
That's
there.
a step up anyhow.
Although, Dom, recently somebody did tell me I look like the Moon Man from the early 2000s, late 90s McDonald's commercials, which it was upsetting. I had to Google it for context, and
I don't think I know that guy.
I didn't either, and let me tell you, it hurt. Just a giant head. Don't worry, Carly's going to wind up having all that pulled up here and that. So yeah, there's my here. I'll even turn my head to the side so you can compare it, babe. My girlfriend Carly does all the post-edit work on this one too. You're the best, babe. We appreciate you. Sorry I gave you HPV. That being said, TR is a fascinating guy. He is going to leave office now, and most people would take the quiet time in their life. And he goes, we're going to Africa, folks. He's going to go on this big expedition over here.
He's got nothing else to do, so I mean, rather than run the country,
Roosevelts are going to Roosevelt, Dad.
Yeah.
It's what he's going to do.
Yeah.
So,
and they made the papers, too. I mean, the Roosevelt kids, even while Teddy was in office as president, they made the papers with they said the White House was just, a madhouse with the kids running around, bringing in pet snakes and wild animals
100%.
and everything else. And there was also stories of them, dropping water balloons on what would become the Secret Service, like the presidential guards. They're dropping water balloons from the upstairs windows and stuff on the kids. So, I mean, the whole house was just total chaos. But Teddy promoted that they all had to be their own individual people. And
he made a lot of strong personalities.
It's absolutely. Absolutely.
Kermit's going to test his mettle in 1909 because TR finally has some time on his hands for the first time in a long time. So he's going to take a little bit of funding from Andrew Carnegie, or Carnegie, depending on how you want to pronounce it, who is the head of U.S. Steel. And they called him the Trust Buster, TR. And the reason why is because the powers that be were so afraid of him because he would break up, he threatened, he goes, I will break up all your monopolies. You have no idea how many executive, decisions I can put in here. I can just tear your company apart. And he winds up, most guys get on board with him. And Carnegie goes, hey, man, why don't I just cut you guys a check? And you guys, why don't I fund your hunting trip for the weekend, TR? And instead you kind of maybe cut me a little bit of slack and don't absolutely raid my corporation, if you will.
Gets them out of the country, too.
Right. So Carnegie, that's another one, too. If you can make TR disappear for a little bit, that's why he got kicked up to the presidency. They were like, he's driving us crazy in New York. Let's make him VP so he'll be nice and quiet. Didn't quite go that way.
No.
And one anarchist later, anarchy is what you got, buddy.
That's right.
So the funding for this trip, like you said, Dad, it is for a good cause. Andrew Carnegie winds up giving the money for a year-long expedition to Africa that will be to the benefit of the Smithsonian Institute so that they can then present whatever the findings are from this hunting trip. And it's a pretty wild trip over here. I'm going to go ahead and say, Dad, because, by the way, most of these things that were brought back by Kermit Roosevelt and his father, tons of them are still on display in the Museum of Natural History. So if you've walked around the Museum of Natural History, you've probably walked past something that Teddy Roosevelt just dropped like John Wick, walking.
Or Kermit.
Yeah, Kermit was dropped. I'm going to say it was a successful trip. You have more details on that, I think.
No, that was pretty accurate. And I think it's a great point, too, that the Smithsonian Institute, who funded this whole thing, a lot of the specimens that were returned eventually made their way into the Museum of Natural History. So, and Teddy was concerned early on that his son Kermit was like just too much of a wild man, and that was for Teddy Roosevelt to say that about anybody.
Man scares me.
Yeah, that's taking it to a whole new level. That he was a risk taker and just went after it. And
well, you told me a good little side note on the car ride over here. You remember about him going after something on his own?
Yeah, he went off on his own and then had to drop. I think it was a leopard. I can't remember if it was a leopard, but it was a big ferocious cat that was like within 6 yards when he finally put the thing down. It was charging him, and stand your ground and fire, and brought it back. And again, a lot of people are going to get upset about they're killing all these animals. Well, back in that particular time, the zeitgeist at that time, that's the way you brought back all these specimens. You weren't bringing back live animals. You were if it was a pelt or whatever,
right.
That could be later through the wizardry of taxidermy that could be put on display. That we're talking about early on in the 1900s too. that a lot
1909.
of people
There has
haven't
not been a
even
world
seen-
war yet.
Yeah, they haven't even seen some of these animals that they were bringing back. So to bring it back alive is just a whole new level that wouldn't happen until later days.
Right, Africa. This is unexplored parts of Africa too that they're going into. I mean, there's guides there, there's locals there that know the area, but the idea of it, the former American president going on this expedition is nuts. And what he's taken back by the most, from what you were saying, is the fact that his son Kermit is going after this dangerous game by himself. There's also, for people who like the show 1923. There's that opening scene in the first season, I think, where Spencer Dutton winds up dropping a leopard that comes after him. And that as soon as you told me that story, I was like, oh, this is what Taylor Sheridan is pulling his stuff from. So, Taylor, if you're listening,
Yeah, thank
if
you.
you're listening, thank you. Just please follow me on Instagram, okay? Come join us with Chuck Liddell and Cory Booker and all the other weird menagerie of people that we've gotten interested in this stuff.
Hunting lions up in a tree or whatever.
Well, the trip is so successful. They bring back over 11,000 species for studies by scientists. Their trip takes about 10 months. It's a 10-month hunting expedition in Africa, hanging out with his dad, dropping dangerous game, maybe dealing with a couple concerning situations with locals. Teddy Roosevelt, extremely progressive on race for his time, but the quotes don't age well. Okay, so realize what he's saying for the time is actually the progressive thought of the time, but it's not aging that well. Okay, so when you look back on it,
Right.
Some blue-haired, dip that's going to sit there and read something like, "Oh, look, he said this terrible thing right here." It's like, yeah, because other people didn't even consider them people back then. So TR's like, no, see, we got great strides. We're building this America idea. And everything's going on with it. Teddy Roosevelt also gets in a lot of trouble for comments about the Native Americans for the way that he presented them when they were brought to the White House for Inauguration Day. And people are like, oh, it's terrible that he did that to him. Do you think any other Native Americans ever got invited to the inauguration? No. Yeah. So he's first, and it was unpopular. It was unpopular in its time because it was too progressive. And then now in this, like a little bit of a hypersensitive culture, now they're trying to label him as the bad thing he was combating back then. So it's a catch-22 at all times, folks. That being said, it will take them 8 years at the Smithsonian Institute to fully catalog everything that Kermit and TR killed and dropped and brought back. So they went to Africa on a hunting trip, wildly successful. Not too bad for taking a year off of college. I took a year off of college, Dad. How'd that go? Never went back.
Yeah,
Never went back.
Better than sleeping in your car in the parking lot of the college, but that's another story for
that's
another
right.
day.
Well, sometimes I slept in my truck in the parking lot of Bergen Community. Other times I went and saw the movie Ghost Rider. I saw it about 6 times in a week, I think, because I was like, hey, I'll save gas money, you know what I mean? But anyway, Kermit will return, by the way. This is where we were going to get into that. He does have a family legacy to live up to. He's going to return to Harvard. He'll graduate what is a 4-year program in about 2.5 years.
Yeah, well, that was part of the contingent agreement, if you will, with his dad, that Teddy said, all right, I'll take you to Africa, but you got to promise that you're going to really hit the books hard once you get back to Harvard, that you are going to become a Harvard grad, and, you're going to, no fooling around. This is not... You're not sloughing off for a year just to have some fun in Africa, and then, forget about it. He wasn't on the 5 or 6 year plan. This was going to happen and get it done. So
he showed his hand too. That he was good.
Yeah, he was fulfilling the agreement that he had with his dad.
Right, honorable man here, Kermit. And by the way, he did show his hand that he was pretty. He tested his mettle in Africa. He's got no military experience yet. He's going to get into that. Don't get me wrong, folks. But he's also showing he can live out in the rugged outdoors. He's impressing his father on that one. At what point on job sites with me growing up as a kid did you say, all right, he ain't going to be a carpenter? This is he's really good at spelling, though. He's got that
he might be
going.
better off loading the dumpster. Maybe we'll demo day we'll have him load the dumpster.
Oh, man. Yeah, I learned very quickly. I was like, I can hang out with blue-collar guys. That's the sense of humor I have, but I'm not very good at what I do, folks. That's why your support on this show means so much to me.
There you go.
The tree crew I work with over in Morris County, they are banking on my success because I constantly put them in danger. Kermit does return, and he'll become a member of the club you started talking about for a second here, Dad, the Porcellian Club.
Porcellian Club. It's Armenian. I-A-N. Brazilian.
Good joke for Mom in there.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, most people know about Yale's exclusive club that churns out world leaders and Paul Giamatti, Skull and Bones. That will never not be my favorite fact, that that secret society, Paul Giamatti, was in that. You know what I mean? The dude from Sideways. Crazy. I think he played Rhino in Spider-Man, too. Am I right on that, Dom? I feel like yep, Dom gave me the nod of approval.
He was at the end of The Amazing Spider-Man 2 as the Rhino.
Right on. So that's what a career in Skull and Bones can get you at your Yale education. You can either become one of the leaders of the free world or play Rhino in Spider-Man.
There you go.
So I know which one my stepkids would pick. So anyway, he winds up joining this club. Yale has Skull and Bones, but Harvard has the Porcellian Club, as you said, Dad. And there's a pretty wild group in this Porcellian Club. TR himself had also been a member, right? So they do boast a president. So, there's always that competition between Yale and Harvard. The club boasts numerous senators, several secretaries of state, U.S. ambassadors, and, of course, a president named Teddy
Motherfucking
Roosevelt.
There you go.
It is. So, is this club still around? That's the question. And as far as I know, yes. I believe they merged with a club called the Hasty Pudding Club. And this is why comedy's so weird. You can go to Harvard and you can get an education and put yourself in line to become, one of the preeminent, leaders of a country or a head of a company. Or you can be a writer for Conan O'Brien. I don't understand why, but the Harvard Lampoon, all those guys wind up getting the late night jobs. It's very weird.
There you go.
But
like you said, Kev, that members of that club is a very prestigious club. It was probably the most prestigious club at Harvard. And again, Teddy was part of it, and his older brother, Ted, was a member. There was a lot of famous ambassadors.
the most
senators.
famous recent ones, right?
What's that?
Did I put it in the script on this one here, just for listeners under the age of 30. I don't even know if under the age of 30 will work here too, but the most famous members of the club in recent memory, this Porcellian Club at Harvard, is the Winklevoss twins that helped create Facebook. So, yeah.
They made a couple of bucks, didn't they?
Mostly through a lawsuit, I think, for Zuckerberg. But, yeah, that's a wild one, man.
And for the history lovers, one of the members of the same club was Robert Gould Shaw, who was the leader of the 54th Massachusetts. If you watch the movie
right.
Glory.
Broderick.
Huh?
Yeah, Broderick.
Broderick, yeah.
In Glory.
Yep.
That's a good one. I forgot it. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was a member of the same club and, graduates and then goes on to lead the first black unit in the Civil War. So,
right on.
Yeah.
Give him hell, 54th.
Give him hell, 54.
Well, after Harvard, it's time to move on to the next part of the story over here. Do you have any other notes on that before I move on?
No, keep going.
We're about to set the zeitgeist.
Oh, there we go.
Zeitgeist, baby. It is 1912, folks. Titanic will take off on its maiden voyage. Some old bat steals a diamond and gets away with it after sleeping with a homeless man in the back of a car. Fenway Park opens. Oreos are invented. Ty Cobb gets suspended from baseball for jumping into the stands and beating up a heckler. All right, I know.
That's baseball, baby.
Jorge started clapping. Yeah, I know. I know that rap isn't a thing anymore, but that should be real ass dude of the week. Ty Cobb beating up a heckler in the stands. And of course, by the way, the president at this time is Woodrow Wilson. Former governor of New Jersey will become president. And Wilson can pretty much thank TR for his victory in this election, even though Teddy ran against him. LP, you want to explain that one real quick?
Yeah, well, Teddy comes back from Africa and finds out that the guy that he thought was going to carry on in the same ways that he was, Taft, was really screwing things up and not going to the way that Teddy had imagined, if you will. So
Teddy came back from Africa and said, I'm here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and the ass I'm going to be kicking is William Howard Taft's.
Right. That Teddy just goes ballistic in that, the party, the Republicans, decide that they're going to go with Taft, and then Teddy says, "Well, screw this! I'm going to start my own party," and he creates his own Bull
By the way,
Moose
do you
party.
remember the name of the party?
Bull Moose?
Skankfest. Anyway,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I screwed that up.
no, good plug for it, folks.
Skankfest, of course.
100%. But yeah, Bull Moose Party, or by the way, the Progressive Party. So when that's another one too, where political terms don't mean what they actually mean because the parties are always in flux. That's
Right.
something to remember.
Right. Wait 30 years and it'll come around again.
Yeah. So TR goes, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna run here, see if I can win on this third party ticket. So he runs. He's a true maverick. Does his own thing. Does not win the election, but does split the Taft support. So that the populist version of him, he does get a lot of the populist vote is split in his favor, which allows Woodrow Wilson to creep in. So Woodrow Wilson is only president because TR didn't get what he wanted, and he goes, "I'm going to make it real tough on everybody."
Right.
So Teddy again now after running, and by the way, when he's running for the Bull Moose Party, that is the election campaign where he gets shot in the chest and then finishes the speech with a bullet still in him.
All right.
So, yeah, I think his opening line was, "It takes more than this to take down a bull moose." And then he just flexed like this, and then the bullet popped out, just like the T-1000 in Terminator 2, Judgment Day. All right.
There you go.
But this is worth mentioning here, folks. Teddy, again, he's going to have a little free time on his hands, and this man doesn't know. I feel like he was naturally born on Adderall or something, because it's just... I got my girl has ADHD, probably my oldest stepson, I think, has ADHD. And there's times, and then the other one is 4. And what's the difference between ADHD and 4? I don't think there is one. But they are zooming around the house. Everybody's doing a million. I was like, this is probably how Teddy Roosevelt's brain worked. It was just, the monkey banging the cymbals the entire time. So he's got a little free time. And he goes, "I want to go on another expedition." And we're like... His whole family is sitting there like, "Teddy, we all love you. You're wonderful. You just got shot in the chest. Maybe you sit a couple of months out." And he goes, "No, we're going to go explore something." "All right, what are you going to go explore?" "It's crazy. It's never been seen before. I'll be one of the first first Americans rather, to ever get over there." And they're like, "Do you really think this is a great..." And his poor wife, who's just sitting there, I feel like she's like Marge Simpson, just like, "Okay, homie, whatever you have to do."
Yeah, wife Edith.
So Edith begs Kermit, literally just sits there and goes, "Kermit, please go on this adventure with your dad. I can't talk him out of it, but at least you can keep him safe while he's doing it. You kept him safe in Africa. You know what you're doing on these trips. You go on this trip here with him." And Kermit actually has to put literally his wedding on hold. So you want to talk about disappointing
He's already
woman.
engaged to be married, and now Daddy is going off.
Hun, about that's marrying into the Roosevelts, I feel like. They're like, "So, darling, the wedding that will be attended by all the high society here as you marry into a family of a president of the United States of America. We're very much looking forward to this trip, but really quick, I got to go explore the Amazon for a year. I'll be back, though, I promise."
Yeah.
So,
Love you.
love you, bye. So, now TR is a bit of a superhero. He really is. We love him on the show. Man has his flaws too, don't get me wrong. And a little bit of hubris too. Hubris, if you guys don't know, Oscar Wilde made that most famous. That is a fall from a place of overboasted confidence, right? So it's TR bit off more than he could chew, and that's saying something when you read TR's life.
Yeah, now you also got to understand he's also getting on in years at this particular point. He's no longer a young man. He's no longer the Rough Rider charging up San Juan Hill. That he's getting a little long in the tooth. So
that's how badass Teddy Roosevelt is too, by the way. DMX named his rap group after the group that he led in the Spanish-American War. That's 100% true. I'm not sure, but we're going with it. So
it's 100% in your mind.
I see no reason why DMX would not also share my love of Teddy Roosevelt.
Absolutely.
I believe that's it. All right. So, Teddy was
And
a New
if you
Yorker.
don't, we don't want to know you anyhow.
Yeah, Teddy was a New Yorker. DMX was a New Yorker. This makes sense. This tracks. So now I only know this story because of our pal Nick Franco, Dad. Do you remember Nick Franco gave me the book on this?
Yeah.
And it took us forever, Nick, but we finally got around to it here. This expedition for TR and Kermit, they're going to be exploring a truly unknown territory down in Brazil. They're heading for a place called the River of Doubt, and this will wind up being the most perilous thing TR ever does in his entire life, and that's certainly saying something. So, Nick Franco got me the book on this just because he's a great dude. He's been one of our day one fans on this, and him and Stu Greenberg, absolute nonstop supporters. We got so many great supporters. We really do. It means a lot to us. But we got to dive into the story because there's too much. Every time I think I'm like, all right, cool, I'm near the end of this guy's story. Nope, wrong. That being said, this trip is not the success that the Africa trip is. This trip is they barely make it out alive. And I'm not exaggerating either. Both men will have lingering issues from this trip that carry on for the rest of both of their natural lives. Teddy will live a little bit while longer after this trip. Kermit will live much longer after this trip, but he never shakes it. It's not a good trip. The trip is riddled with malaria, which both Roosevelt men almost die from this.
Right.
TR himself had such a bad case of malaria that he was incapacitated. They were carrying him on a stretcher, and he didn't want to slow the people down. He didn't want to slow his party down anymore. He goes, you guys aren't going to be able to get to civilization or a rescue if I keep slowing you down. I'm not kidding here, folks. TR was looking at taking a fatal dose of, I think, morphine, that he wanted to take a fatal dose of morphine so that he could ease the burden of everybody around him. And Kermit says, I'm bringing you back dead or alive, Dad. That's the bottom line.
It'd be easier to bring you back alive than it would be dead.
Yeah, if you can at least walk a little bit. As
and at the same time, though, the medical treatment for that was quinine, and that was in short supply. Kermit has malaria as well, but he refuses to take his dosage, if we will, because of the short supply of it, that he wanted to give it to his father, make sure that my dad gets it. And it wasn't until after he passes out from malaria that the doctor who was on the expedition with him administers a dose of it that actually saved his life. He was
They almost don't make it out. Yeah. Both Roosevelt boys were almost whacked here on this one. Now you have malaria, which is just nasty business to begin with. There's also an accidental drowning, so people do die on this expedition. There are dwindling supplies because they're out way longer than they thought they were going to be. There's also a fear of native attacks, which is interesting because for some reason this Roosevelt expedition was not attacked directly, but other expeditions later on, there were some full-on massacres that went on of other people trying to explore this area. And by the way, I thought this was interesting, too, because it's worth mentioning that, as everybody here on the show knows very well, Dom, our engineer, who does a great job on everything here, he's actually a member of the Cinta Larga tribe from the Brazilian Amazon. So,
did he bring him back as a specimen?
It's possible. We haven't exactly proven it. I can't tell how old Dom is. Dom has, it could be any number of ages, honestly. But I just wanted you to know, Dom, we're going to be honoring your culture here today by mentioning your proud people, the Cinta Larga tribe of the Amazon.
I feel really honored. Thank you.
I think of you every time I order something online from Jeff Bezos. That's how I like to link it all up. So, but no, and it's good. This is another part. So History Channel, if you guys are watching here, very diverse staff. An indigenous person of the Amazon is helping me produce this show. And Jorge can pass for almost anything, folks. Okay? Almost anything. That's this Roosevelt party is going through straight up hell. There's also a legit shooting death when someone is caught stealing. And it is taking its toll on all parties. TR and Kermit, TR has a gash on his knee that also gets infected on top of the malaria. And although the boys barely do escape with their lives, TR will die 5 years later and is considered largely to him never fully recovering from this trip.
Yeah, this wasn't the first bout of malaria that TR had, because during the Spanish-American War, he also contracted malaria. So this was
got to be careful when you go hunting for adventure out there.
Yeah, that's right.
The silent killers,
not easy.
Man. I think I told you this when I got sent to Dubai in the Navy. They gave me, I think it was the smallpox shot. They give you every possible shot you can have when you go overseas. And even in the military, just going into boot camp, they give you every injection possible. So that's why when the vaccine stuff was coming out, I was always like, oh, well, I don't really know what,
Yeah.
I think I don't even know what the ones I have are, so I can't really argue this. But
yeah, what cocktail did I already have?
But they do that because so many casualties were seen from people not receiving, no previous exposure to these diseases, no natural ability to heal from it. So meanwhile, TR gets back to the state. He's going to get a hero's welcome, folks, in New York, but he is still unable to really speak at length. This is a vibrant figure. This is a man, a human form of Red Bull, and he's having a hard time talking. He's not making the public appearances he was.
A mere shell of his former self.
This trip took a lot out of him here. Now, like I said, he does live, I think, about another 5 years after he gets home from the trip, but people start making little rumors up in the background. They're like, I don't think TR actually discovered the River of Doubt. This sounds like some BS. And if you go into a little bit of the BS with TR, he does write himself up as a little bit more of a hero sometimes than he possibly was. There's no shortage of ego on Teddy Roosevelt. I think that's fair to say. He's kind of got like a Vince McMahon type thing where you're like, all right, he does make some really cool stuff, but I don't think it's all just because of you. I don't think you were this amazing thing you did here. Point is, you start saying TR is full of something, right? And, that's S-H-I-T, right? I don't know why I spell that's what happens when you have a 4 and 6-year-old in the house. You spell out your curse words. So, but they're saying that he's full of shit, and this is what winds up happening. This pisses TR off. So, yes, he's not well. He's not quite on his deathbed, but he can barely speak and barely move around the house. He gets so pissed off that he winds up giving a public speaking tour in order to settle the matter. And the doubters believe all this. He quells all the rumors here. But there's still some TR haters that are sitting there like, I think he's making it all up. Everything Teddy Roosevelt said he discovered in the Amazon, the River of Doubt, the entire story, all confirmed about 10 years later. TR is already dead and in the ground at this point. But a British explorer will make the exact same journey and confirmed that Teddy Roosevelt, former U.S. American president, helped discover the River of Doubt. So this is 100% true here.
Yeah, and they now call it the Rio Roosevelt.
Rio Roosevelt. It's named after him, which, as we've covered on the show, if they name it after you, it's either a compliment or an insult, depending, you got to figure out that middle ground for yourself. Back to Kermit now, okay? We've got TR. It's impossible to not talk about TR when you talk about his family here, but Kermit is finally now home. His fiancée, who had allowed the wedding to be delayed for the trip, they will finally tie the knot in 1914. Kermit and his wife, Belle, will have 4 children. So, weird side note here. I know some people in the live chat, which we love talking to you guys in the live chat, too. We got more stuff coming up for you. Some people say that I go off on these tangents. I do, but how do I not bring this one up, okay? I'm going to be honest with you. It's a quick little sojourn here with me, but enjoy. Their most interesting child, this is of the 4 children that Kermit and his wife Belle will have. The most interesting child to me is Kermit Jr. So apparently back then, if you were Kermit and then you had a son that was a Kermit, it would be common to refer to them as Kim. So this is Kim Roosevelt, fellas. Yeah.
Kim the boy, not Kim the
That's
girl.
Right. Hi, I'm Kim Roosevelt. It doesn't that sound like that
Right.
should have been like Alice's.
Kermit wasn't bad enough.
Yeah. Don't call me Kermit. My name is Kim. I don't have a weird name like Kermit. Folks around here call me Kim.
Yeah.
So, Kim, by the way, will go on to join the OSS in a pre- and post-World War II era, and he gets heavily involved in the OSS. Obviously, you guys have listened to the show enough. You should know this if you played Call of Duty video games on PlayStation back in the day. The OSS is the precursor to the CIA. So the CIA, it's not directly involved in this story here, but this Kermit Kermit Jr. So
Kermit
Kim,
Jr.
We'll call him Kim. Call me Kim.
Kim.
Kimmy Roosevelt goes ahead and gets involved with the CIA, and he's actually directly involved in the overthrow of the Prime Minister of Iran in 1953. So Roosevelt's going overseas and making things a little chaotic here.
Movers and shakers.
A little bit on that. So more detail here on the end, but I want to get back into this. So Kim, oddly enough, he's born in Argentina. So how is the grandson of a United States president born in Argentina? Why would that be, Dad?
Well, when going back to Kermit, his dad, when they were first married, they were stationed, if you will, in Buenos Aires, and he was the assistant manager, I think, of a bank in Buenos Aires.
Not just any bank, Dad.
Not just any bank.
It was the National City Bank Buenos Aires branch, which is Citibank. So, yes, the Kermit Roosevelt wound up as a head branch executive, if you will, for Citibank.
Right.
So, yeah, follow the money, folks. It's not just I always say follow the money runs in 2 things. If you're trying to follow what a reason is, follow the money. And if you're trying to win in Super Mario Brothers, follow the money. In 1917, by the way, there's a thing called historical fiction, which I don't really get into. I like the real stories better. I like the real, meat and potatoes of a story. But if you could have sold me this historical fiction movie, I would watch this in a heartbeat. In 1917, Kermit Roosevelt is about to be sent to Russia They want to send him to Russia in 1917. You history fans know what's going on in Russia. This is the fall of the Tsar, essentially, in order to manage their bank. So this is Red Army, hyper, Red Revolution. The commies are coming in here. It's Lenin, Trotsky time. It's all the boys. It's Rasputin. Everything's going on over here. If you could sell me a historical fiction book or movie where the son of Teddy Roosevelt is fighting Rasputin in Tsarist Russia, I would watch that all the time. I would call out of work to binge watch that show. Okay? It didn't happen, but that doesn't mean HBO can't do it. You've already ruined The Last of Us, HBO. Why don't you come up with something original, all right? Call OKP up. I got ideas. So Kermit will now see that the United States is entering the Great War. You and I had a conversation about this on the way in, Dad.
Yeah. Things are definitely heating up in Europe, and America is Wilson is taking a position of isolationism that's like, let Europe deal with Europe, and we're going to take care of ourselves here, and we don't want to get embroiled in whatever's going on in Europe. So, but of course, Kermit, being his father's son, and hearing all the stories about the military and everything else, he's itching for the fight. So he initially enlists into the Army and gets a commission.
The U.S. Army, important to mention that.
Right, the U.S. Army, and gets a commission. But he's anxious for the fight, if you will, and then wrangles his way over to get a commission in the British Army.
This is the son of a United States president that is now an officer in the British Army. And what's the reason for that?
He wants a fight.
He goes, the U.S. has taken too long to get me into action, folks. The Roosevelts are... you really could just change their name to the Schwarzeneggers and it would make sense.
Time for some ass kicking.
It's insane. So Kermit is trained as an officer in the U.S. Army but resigns, takes a post with the British Army where he will see heavy combat. Kermit will actually receive the Military Cross during his British Army service. When you have the Military Cross in the British Army, that title follows you your entire life. So on his grave, I believe it says MC. So whenever it has MC, all formal paperwork has to have it. It's very close or akin to being knighted over there,
right,
where you have to see the Royal Order of or whatever. But anyway, the point is this. Kermit is thought of later on in the war because he winds up joining up with the American Army again in 1918. But he's thought of as too valuable to lose in the war. They're like, listen, there's a reason for this. I'll get into it in a second. Pre the Sullivans, if you guys know the story of the Sullivan brothers, they were four brothers that all went down on the same ship. They were killed in action in World War II. And they actually, that rule that came from the death of this poor mother lost all four sons in one fell swoop. They split siblings up in the military after that. Prior to that, you would serve with everybody on your neighborhood and your block. If you had a cousin, whatever, it was very common. So this idea comes in. We don't want to be the unit that has Teddy Roosevelt receiving a letter that his son has passed away. We don't want to be the unit responsible for that. We don't want an inquiry from Teddy Roosevelt. Well, why was my son in here? Did you guys have the... We don't want that baggage. So, Kermit, why don't you work on the Arabic language? Why don't you spend a little bit of time? He's in the Mesopotamian theater. That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
He can get involved with this. And he's doing a lot of cool stuff over there.
So he's not in Europe. They send him over to Egypt and then fighting with the British units against the Turks. And
he really is fighting around the world like Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
But he's got a great gift for language and the Arabic language and his handling of maintenance of American Model Ts, because we're talking about armored cavalry here in World War I. Dad, you were talking about the turrets?
Yeah, he's with the British Army, so the vehicle is produced by Rolls-Royce, but it wasn't the luxury automobile. I mean, we're talking about a mounted machine gun that in the Middle East, and within a turret, instead of having a tank turret, you've got a machine gun turret. So he's mechanized, motorized, armored cavalry, if you will. That
insanity. First time ever used in warfare, too, by the way.
Yeah.
First official one was Patton for armored cavalry. They were chasing down Pancho Villa, which is a true story. So the United States was leading from the front on a lot of this stuff. And there's a lot of tie in there. A little bit of a loserception, not one that I'm proud of, but we'll take it. Kermit will actually learn this in 1918. So keep in mind, it was 1918 when he joins back up with the American Army, if you will, the United States Army. But in 1918, they move him to the background. They give him like a job doing maintenance on Model Ts, kind of running a motor pool, some extensive work with languages, stuff like that. He's got an intel officer kind of a job, and he's a smart dude. Another reason for that is that in 1918, Kermit will learn that his younger brother, Quinty, who was the Quentin, I believe. Quentin. He was known as Quinty. That was the nickname growing up, who was the youngest of the Roosevelt boys. He was also an American badass, and he was shot down in aerial combat against the Germans in World War I.
He was the youngest of the Teddy Roosevelt children.
Teddy's baby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're the baby.
Yeah,
Your
I'm the
family.
baby.
That's right. Little favoritism there sometimes, right?
The problem with that, though, is as the youngest child, you're always taking the garbage out. Garbage night, let the little kid take it out. Take out the trash.
Maybe that's what made him want to be honestly, a precursor to a jet fighter pilot. But Quinty's up in the sky fighting. That had never been done before, folks.
Yeah, this
was new for World War I.
This is, again, aerial combat, and he gets shot down over France during the First World War.
So not only is the story
definitely threw his father into a tailspin too. That
Teddy's already not a healthy man, never recovers from the trip to the Amazon, and now they said that you tell me, you were telling me in the car ride, he would just stare at the ocean. He disappeared into.
He goes into a deep dive, if you will, too. That he was happy that his sons decided to go over and fight. That they weren't shirking their manly duties,
right,
if you will. But at the same time, now he lost his youngest son in as I say, in aerial combat over France.
The Germans shoot him down, and Quinty is actually buried with full German military honors, and he remains to this day, as of the recording of this podcast, the only son of a U.S. president to have been killed in combat. So hats off to you, Quentin Roosevelt, American badass there. But the show's called American Loser, so we can't just go off of... we could probably do a whole episode on him. I don't think there's a member of the Roosevelt family we couldn't do an episode on.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Kermit is actually going to wind up serving with the Big Red One as he runs Battery C of the 7th Artillery of 1st Division. That's the Big Red One, very famous patch. A giant red one is their patch on their insignia here. He will be fighting with them in the final months of service in the Great War. Keep in mind, they're calling it the Great War because... there's no sequel yet. They don't know there's a sequel. This isn't some sort of a Peter Jackson thing where they know they're going to come out with another one in a couple of months. This is supposed to be a one and done. It was supposed to be the war that ended all wars,
right,
which is ironic that it has a sequel.
Yeah, at that point in time, it didn't have a number after it. It was the big war, the Great War, World War.
100%.
It wasn't until later that we had to put a one after it, and then later followed by a World War II, but that's another story.
Hopefully this podcast lives on long enough that people are like, oh, back then there were only 2 world wars, back when KP and his dad were still trying to tell stories.
There you go.
Now, after leaving the military, Kermit will continue going on expeditions. Now he's not going with his father anymore. He's going to go on these trips with his brother, Teddy.
His older brother.
Older brother, Teddy, T3. So this is like you and Uncle Terry going on trips
there
together,
you go.
Okay? Which is, you do Rutgers tailgates. These guys are, filling up expeditions, around the world. Lots of their discoveries and displays are still in modern museums to this day here. They go on a trip through the Kashmir Valley, which is pretty notable since they are said to be looking for... I thought this was too cool to not go into. We don't have the time to go into a ton of detail on it, but they're hunting for something legendary. This almost sounds like a Scooby-Doo episode.
Ooh?
Not bad, LP. This trip through the Kashmir is pretty notable since they were looking for a legendary big-horned sheep known as the Marco Polo sheep. Now, this sheep, if you don't know, it had giant horns, and it was named the Marco Polo sheep because Marco Polo reported about it in his adventures around the world, if you will. And people didn't think it was a real thing. There was still some debate as to whether or not it existed. So the Roosevelt boys, almost like the Hardy Boys, and like the case of the Marco Polo sheep. So now Kermit, very much like his father, never quite done being wildly busy. One world war is not enough for this Oyster Bay Roosevelt boy, and he's going to wind up fighting in the Second World War. He's going to see combat there, and he will be injured at the Battle of Narvik. The weird thing is, folks, yet again, so he's fighting Nazis in northern Finland. That's the Battle of Narvik. Did not know about that one at all. I learn along with you guys sometimes on this show. 100% true story. Yet again, he's going to wind up. This is the son of a U.S. president twice now in 2 separate world wars, fighting as a commissioned officer in the British Army.
Yeah.
He needs to be in on the action. He goes, they're not getting me what I want over there. So he's almost like a free agent of war. I don't understand.
He's a mercenary.
Now, Narvik is a pretty interesting battle here because Kermit will get injured here. It is considered an Allied victory. They're fighting Nazi paratroopers in northern Norway. This is another movie you could make, folks. Show me the son of Teddy Roosevelt fighting Nazi paratroopers in 120 miles from I mean, you're pretty much at the end of the earth right there. This looks like, I always mention Kurt Russell anytime it's cold. But this could, instead of The Thing, it's just Kermit Roosevelt is trying to fight Nazis. Make the movie, folks. Like I said, he winds up getting injured at the Battle of Narvik, and Kermit will fight gallantly, but this injury and other recurring issues with his malaria flare-ups is going to force him to accept that his military days are pretty much over. The British Army's trying to force him out. They're like, hey, we don't want, this famous Roosevelt to die on our watch, and he's not really able to contribute as much as he used to. Kermit does not like this idea at all. He's not going to go quietly into the night. He appeals this all the way up to Winston Churchill. Literally, he petitions him, and Churchill goes, you're medically gone, dude. That's it. Very sorry. Thank you for your service. You're a great guy. We're not risking a Roosevelt in another war here.
Yeah, and on another side, though, is that, he did have malaria flare-ups and that kind of stuff, but he was also starting to hit the bottle pretty hard. That he did have bouts of depression and bouts of alcoholism that maybe he was unfit for service.
Don't I know it?
Maybe they want to get him out of here before he does injure himself while he's under the influence or whatever. But
it's a slippery slope with that stuff because TR himself was not a drinker. He was a teetotaler his entire life. He drank about a quart of coffee every day, they said. But Kermit's hitting the bottle hard here. He's battling some depression. The malaria flare-ups aren't helping him. It turns into probably a little bit of relief for him or whatever. Whatever people wind up picking up a bottle for. I know a million people that have a different million reasons. But Kermit's, his issues are starting to come to light over here. And it's unfortunate, too, because Kermit is going to, he wants to come back home. But he doesn't really want to go back home either. It's that old cliche of the guy who comes home, but he can't go to his house right away when they come back from war. There's a De Niro movie, The Deer Hunter. They cover that one. Keep in mind, this is Teddy Roosevelt's son, okay? But his cousin, it's a distant cousin, and they don't really get along with the Hyde Park Roosevelts, but his cousin is now the president of the United States. So his father was president, and he's going on these expeditions around the world. And now it's World War II era, and his cousin from Hyde Park, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, is legitimately the president at this time. So getting the U.S. president's family member back home safely, probably a good move for the British Army. So could they have kept Kermit on? Maybe. But we're starting to see some red flags. Let's just get him out of here so they don't think we are the ones who are responsible for the decline.
Get him out of harm's way before the headline reads, British Army kills.
That's right.
Puts him in harm's way.
On your watch.
Yeah.
Like you said, Dad, Kermit, he's got a little bit of a booze habit. And that it's starting to showcase quite a bit of depression throughout his life. When he returns to the United States, he's going to go on a bender and sort of disappears. And we waited this long into the episode, folks, for this inevitable joke. But Kermit's gone, and he's not going home. And his wife finally goes, Kermit! The discipline to wait 40 minutes for a Kermit the Frog joke, folks. You're not going to get it anywhere else, I promise you. All right? Use code LOSER.
It's all about timing.
Buck off a month. Now, she's actually friendly with the Eleanor, because Eleanor is an Oyster Bay Roosevelt.
You're talking about the wife.
Eleanor Roosevelt, yes. So Edith, Kermit's wife, is she's going to sit there, and she's friendly with Eleanor, and she finally appeals to Cousin Franklin, if you will, Cousin Franklin Delano. She's going to get FDR to use the FBI to track down Kermit and return him to his family, because Kermit is now stateside, but he disappears on these benders. He's going full Artie Lang on this thing. We don't know where he is.
Yeah.
You had some more info on that.
He's MIA. Yeah, and again, it's really hard to live up to your father, Teddy Roosevelt.
Stop rubbing it in, dude. I get it. I do comedy. I'm not a.
Yeah, and then
I can't do cabinets. I tell dick jokes. All right, God.
His older brother was also a hard charger. And it was, again, you mentioned it earlier on in the episode that originally we were thinking about a different Roosevelt than Kermit. But
there's no boring ones.
Yeah, there's no boring ones. But there's a lot of depression and why me kind of a thing. I think for Kermit that his older brother Ted is killed. He dies. He's the oldest guy to go ashore on D-Day. He's 56 years old, and he's going in. He's a general at this particular point in time, and his older brother, the general, is going ashore in the first wave of the Normandy invasion with a cane because he walked with a limp at this particular point in time, but he was still going in.
He loves the smell of napalm in the morning.
So I mean, and his other brothers were World War I killed in action kind of a thing. So I think the depression is.
Alice is out banging senators.
Deep rooted. I mean, deep rooted. That he's got a lot of demons going on there, and he's trying to find relief in the bottle, kind of a thing.
It's a life of adventure, but it comes with eventually the bar tab comes.
Yeah,
for all those
exactly. You gotta, if you call in the tunes, you got to pay the piper. But he's finally coming home, being brought back home through the influences of his wife, and now he's back home. And
well, I think the FBI knocking on your door and saying, "Go home to your wife."
Yeah,
the president
and
said so.
And then he's just going. He's going complete MIA. That he's going on a bender, and he's not coming home for days and weeks on end. And then when he finally does come home, he's oh, I'm so sorry, forgive me. But then he goes out and does it again, and then there was a long period of time, or passage of time that
I think I know some
MIA.
people that go down those wormholes. I think.
And then his wife pleads with Franklin Delano Roosevelt to try to put the FBI on him to find out where's my husband, and he turns up.
Ma'am, we are so close to cracking down on this international conspiracy, but I guess we can go find your husband who's not calling you whenever you need.
Yeah, that he just skips out, but going to go for a quart of milk and never comes home. But they do find him finally in California, and he's got a. He's not alone.
He's got a side piece.
He's got a side
What's
piece.
the side piece's name? Brooklyn Chase. Got it.
Carla Peters, and then his wife and Kermit's brother get him into a sanitarium to try to dry him out. And
sanitarium was the for the times
way,
that was a rehab, folks.
Yeah, that was the rehab.
It's like when they check in. He's checked in with exhaustion. From what? Oh, all the coke he was doing. He doesn't sleep.
Yeah.
But Kermit's he's in bed. He's in bed. You can't break the cycle like this. You got to go to a sanitarium. He agrees to go, by the way, that there's some fortitude in that, to be able to be willing to put yourself into that. This is probably not something that would be spoken about publicly either. It's not a celebrated time for that, where people are like, he's getting the help he needs. They're like, did you hear the Roosevelt dude is in a sanitarium, probably eating grape nuts? Weird little history drop on that one.
There you go.
He's hanging out with some guy named Kellogg. It's very weird.
K? Yeah.
That's right. Kellogg, nice guy. Don't ask him.
No, this was all on the hush hush, because again, who wants to have it get out that the son of the president is now...
it's another reason Betty Ford is actually an admirable person in American history, that she went... Gerald Ford, very underrated presidency.
Yeah.
So, But like you said, Dad, he's going to wind up there in this. I had him down as a 4-month stay in a sanitarium, but you said there were 2 separate stints.
There were two separate stints that he tried multiple times to try to dry out, but unsuccessful. But again, he goes back into the military with the idea that they're going to put him into the military to give him purpose. That he's not just wandering about aimlessly, kind of a thing.
Every time I hit rock bottom from alcohol, I always sat there and was like, I should call a recruiter. I can go back. I can go back. Roast Masters is over. They don't even do it anymore. What am I doing with my life?
Yeah. I mean, part of the two, I mean, he had his ups and downs throughout his life, and even before the Second World War, he and the wife, they had a very successful shipping business, but during the Depression, which was immediately before the Second World War,
took a beating.
That tanked, and they took a beating, and financially they were down and outers for sure. So that definitely would drive you under, if you will. That I'm not making excuses for the guy, but he definitely he wasn't just a rich kid.
This is causality.
Yeah, he wasn't. He wasn't just the rich kid from Long Island, but
no, he's tested his mettle in Africa on a hunting trip, almost lost his life in the Amazon, has fought in both world wars, seen combat in both world wars. He's well thought of enough to be the manager of a city bank in Buenos Aires. He's got a family. He is continuing to seek out more and more difficult assignments here. The guy has the Teddy Roosevelt thing, but he's got the blues.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, and he wasn't a dumb. I mean, this is a Harvard graduate. While he was running this Roosevelt Steamship Company, this prior to the Second World War, very successful, but it was the Depression that kind of knocked the feet out from under him. He was also very involved with the development of the United States Merchant Marine. So,
damn, I didn't know that one until about 3. This is what happened on our way. We get to talk for about an hour on the car ride in on LP episodes. We get to talk for about an hour on the car ride in. Then we come in here, and one of my favorite things about being at Gas is I bump into a lot of people I know and I like hanging out with. So it's us sitting there watching old WCW Monday Night Nitros with Zach Amico before one of my great buddies in comedy, great comic. And we're sitting there just watching that, and then all of a sudden my dad's like, "Oh, by the way, apparently Kermit Roosevelt helped discover the Merchant Marines." I'm like, shit, I should really work harder on this show. Yeah, and finding this out in between an Eddie Guerrero match.
You talk about a smart guy. He could also speak, master of foreign languages, which is one of the reasons why the British Army sent him to the Middle East to fight the Turks.
Fluent in Arabic.
That he not only Arabic, he could speak Greek, French, Portuguese, Swahili, Arabic, Hindustani, Urdu, and Romani. And Romani is the language of the Gypsies.
Ah, right on. So, I believe. Do you know how to say thank you in Romani? By the way, the Gypsy language. Stevie Nicks. That's it. Terrible joke. I'm sorry. We are going to wrap this one up here in a second, folks. But I got to. It's going to get. It's a sad ending. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's a sad ending here for a man named Kermit. But if I was to say this in the modern day sense, you hear somebody's going into rehab. I want to ask Jorge and Dom here. You hear rehab. Somebody goes, well, I'll tell you what. I lived in Florida long enough that whenever I was like, hey, I'm going back to Florida for a couple of months, most rehab's going to be in a sunny place, right? It's Arizona, maybe, California, things like that. Where do you guys think they wind up sending our poor boy Kermit, where they think he's going to... This will help him shake the alcohol bug? Take a wild guess, Dom.
I'm going to go with the Muppets. I think they sent him to One by Swamp.
That is on point, brother. That is on point. Somewhere the big kahuna just looked up and got mad. Or hey, where would you think they're going to send our poor boy Kermit here?
Well, I mean, he is quite the world traveler, so I imagine they'd send him somewhere nice and exotic, somewhere like maybe Alabama.
Alabama's got a little bit of everything down there. Two very good answers, by the way. Nicer climates, chance to relax a little bit. No, they get him a job. He's got a commission as a major in the U.S. Army now. That also came directly from FDR, so it always pays to have a cousin in the White House. They send poor Kermit to shake the blues off into Fort Richardson, Alaska. Alaska, folks. Yep. You know what you need? The cold and limited daylight, and they don't even understand. If you're stationed in the modern military in Alaska, they make you go to daylight therapy. It's UV rays that they hit you with or whatever to keep you sane, right?
Yeah.
So they're sending him into a place that it's not too far removed from the Yukon Gold expeditions up there. Jack London writing about eating raw meat sandwiches, and they're like, "Oh, this sounds like a great idea. Let's get him out there. Let's get Kermit. You're going to love this, dude."
Give him purpose.
Also, Kermit, if you're there and you see a man named Kurt Russell and he has a flamethrower, stay away from him. I know that was Antarctica, folks. I just like Kurt Russell. Here's what happens. They send him out there. The hope is that giving Kermit a meaningful job as an intel officer who will also be helping to build up the Inuit militias because they need to be able to fight the Japanese if the Japanese invade the Aleutian Islands again. People do forget that was a land-based invasion of the United States by Imperial
That
Japan.
invasion also happened at the same time as Pearl Harbor.
Yes, it gets lost in the history books. Maybe that would be a great topic to bring you in for next month. We'll see. We'll talk about it at McSorley's. It's not working. The plan doesn't work out well here. Poor Edith, Kermit's mother, is still alive, and she will receive the news that her son, Kermit, has died of a heart. Now, keep in mind, Quinty's dead, TR's dead, so her husband's dead, her baby is dead, right? And then now she's going to find out Kermit's dead. Kermit will die on June 4th, 1943. Worth noting, right? Because what happens June 6th, 1944, Dad?
June 6th?
June 6th.
That's D-Day.
Right. So this is a pre-D-Day.
Right.
And he's
and
gone.
it was his older brother, Ted, that was able to get him into the sanitarium with the workings of
Exactly.
FDR and his wife Edith and everybody else. So everybody's pitching for this guy. They're not deserting him, but
No, they're standing by like a family should here, and they know Kermit's got me. He kicks a lot of ass. We just got to get him healthy.
Yeah.
All right, it's like having a fighter that can't keep his shit together. And unfortunately, the news that Edith will receive is that Kermit dies of a heart attack. That's what they report to her, which is a tragedy in its own right. But the truth is actually so tragic that even Edith didn't get told the true story. It would appear that Kermit was found with a self-inflicted wound to the head, used his .45 on himself, I think, correct?
He put a 45 under his chin and pulled the trigger.
So it doesn't quite work out for him on that one. He doesn't shake the blues. He's actually buried in Fort Richardson National Cemetery, which is near Anchorage, Alaska here. So it's a sad ending to a story, and this is, at its heart, a comedy podcast. So we've created a fresh hell for ourselves. The history podcast people hate us because they're like, you left out details. I was like, because it's not interesting or pertinent to the story. I'm not writing a dissertation here. I'm trying to make people laugh. And then comedy people are like, oh, it's great, but he just rambles about history. I got a fresh hell where nobody likes what I do. But
What fresh hell is this?
yeah, but I'm going to take any opportunity I have to hang out with my dad here. So what I wanted to do is leave you guys on a high note for this one. This is actually something. This is what the impact that you can have if you have a moral compass in this world. Okay, because there's a million people without one.
I would put more than 1 million.
There's a lot of people out
There's
there
a
with
lot
no
of people,
moral
yeah.
compasses, right? There's a lot of people that don't learn lessons or don't have core values, and this is something that's worth mentioning. Kermit's son Kim, he does go into the family business of government, right? We'll call it government. And he does wind up as a stalwart of the OSS, which later becomes the CIA. So if anytime that I sit here and I go down the little conspiracy wormholes or the rabbit holes, which, by the way, nothing I actually say is conspiratorial, folks. All of this is public record. I don't make anything up. I'm not smart enough to do so. If I had a great imagination, I would have written the movie about Kermit Roosevelt sword fighting Rasputin in Siberia. I would have done it. Okay, but I don't. This is all declassified stuff. You can read all about this. I don't mind sharing sources, and I also don't fear corrections. If you come at me in the comments saying I got something wrong, show me I'm wrong. I'll thank you for it. I really will. I promise. That being said, Kim Roosevelt is now part of the CIA over here. He's going to play a huge part. This is another Roosevelt that if you shake it gets interesting. The Iranian coup of 1953, which actually implements the Shah. Okay, so Iran and the United States, it's a tough history for a lot of reasons, okay? No one's really a good guy in either side of the story, the more you read about it. But
Which also had British backing before the U.S. got
100%.
involved.
Oh, we inherited a lot of people's messes. But that doesn't give you carte blanche to do what you want either. That being said, the Iranian coup of 1953 is led in part by the strategy and bravery of Kim Roosevelt. Now, the coup works for a time and helps to stabilize the region, and the reason why it worked is because Kim Roosevelt knew that a large part of this was a will of the majority of the people. They did want this person overthrown here, and will implement the Shah, and things will get better in Iran. And for a while, he was right. Now, Allen Dulles, not really a well-thought-of guy in history. The more you read about everything that went down, Allen Dulles is involved in MK the Warren Commission, JFK, Bay of Pigs. Allen Dulles has a list that just makes him very, very susceptible to being called not a good guy. All right? His brother's the one that got the airport named after him in D.C., by the way. I always thought that was terrible. How do you name an airport after a guy that made MK Ultra?
Not that Dulles.
100%. But that being said, Kim gets approached by Allen Dulles, and he goes, Kim Roosevelt, we'd like you to lead another coup in order to overthrow the democratically elected government of Guatemala. And Kim goes, no, that's a democratically elected government. This is not the will of the people here. Like, we're not doing good. We pulled that move in Iran because the people wanted it, and we were able to do it, and we made things better. You want to overthrow Guatemala to sell more bananas. It's a true story, folks. Look that one up. Look up the UFC, not the one with Rogan.
Plus the fact we get oil out of the Middle East, and we want to protect that interest.
100%.
And the Suez and everything else. But that's another little side note, if you will.
100%. But the integrity of Kermit Roosevelt permeates through his son, Kim Roosevelt, and Kim says straight up no. And he winds up leaving the CIA over this. So he hands in his papers. He goes, this is not what I signed up for. This is not what the organization is supposed to be. He says it worked in Iran only because the people wanted it. I'm gone. And he goes, by the way, the Guatemalan coup, it was effective, but it was mostly a bully job. We went over there and we bullied that country, and we dealt them the death blow of Guatemalan democracy. So Kim's son, Kermit III, by the way, this is now Kermit III, K3, okay?
K3, not
K3.
T3.
I thought, yeah, that's right, K3, KKK for short. Kim's son, so again, this is the grandson of Kermit, right? The great-grandson of Teddy Roosevelt. He is a professor, lawyer, and author at the University of Pennsylvania's Law School with a few literary works to his name. I'm not kidding. You couldn't make this up. Kermit III, all right, Kim's son, again, he has done a TED Talk. Yeah, that's right. Teddy Roosevelt's grandson has done great-grandson has done a TED Talk. His most interesting work is his second title of his literary work, rather, is a book called Allegiance, where he explores the issue of Executive Order 9066, which is signed by his relative, Hyde Park Roosevelt, but nonetheless a Roosevelt. FDR signed this. What is Executive Order 9066, Dad? Do you know that one?
Yeah, that was... let's put all the Japanese into internment camps during the start of the Second World War when Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. I gathered up all the Japanese Americans. They're putting American citizens into
born in the United States, put into the internment camps. It's one of the most. There's no defense of it. There's really just none. I will say this though. I don't know. I think Dom knows this one. Do you know what they said when Executive Order 9066 came out, Dom? They were trying to say what they had to do. They were like, listen, we have to get out there. We have to round up these natural-born citizens of Japanese heritage and put them in camps. I think you know this one.
I don't think. It's not ringing a bell to me. I don't know.
Well, keep in mind, they got to collect all the Japanese people and put them in one place. And I believe they said, got to catch them all. Oh, it was terrible. It was terrible. But yes, that was the CIA directive to execute that order. Oh, my God. Anyway, so a kid named Ash goes, rounds all of these people up, puts them in a little camp with his friend Misty and everything like that. And, it is what it is. No, there is no defending of the Japanese internment camps. It's one of the worst looks in American history here. But a Roosevelt is telling the truth about it, folks. And he's even saying, I understand this makes my cousin FDR look bad, but let's talk about this and the impact that it had over here. So the Roosevelts are still fighting on the right side of history, whether you like it or not. Maybe it's not popular at the time. Maybe it doesn't age very well. But the Roosevelts, I really do believe this. I don't get too Hulk Hogan here on this show, but God, man, I would run through walls for Teddy Roosevelt. So, anything you want to say on the way out here, Dad?
I think we covered it all again, but there will be those that said, "Oh, you forgot this, you forgot that." Well, yeah, that's the Roosevelts. I mean,
that's the problem trying to do a show.
How many days do you want this podcast to go on for?
Another text from Mike Harrington here, folks. Another text from, he said, on Ambien right now, and then. Oh, we can't say that on YouTube. All right. Anyway, folks, hopefully Mike is going to wind up in a sanitarium or a sanatorium of his own choosing, and we can get him the help that he needs, and he can come back here because I don't want it to get to a point where Jorge is attached to this child and now feels like he can't leave the kid's life because he's linked to him. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. But as always, folks, I want to thank my dad, number one, coming in here, doing a great job. I'll take you to White Manna Burger after this, I promise.
Yeah,
we're heading to Jersey City,
that's
folks.
been promised before, but
it's happening this time. Dominator and Jorge, thank you guys so much. Appreciate everybody here on Gas Digital. Gas Digital in the live chat. I'm trying to talk to you guys as much as I can here on this one. So we got some other cool ideas coming up. Casting Couches coming back. It's going to be a segment that we do where we take all the topics of the month, and then you guys help us cast what actor and what movie to play what role if we were to make a movie about this person's life. We got a bunch of new stuff coming up. We also, I won't say who it is, but we did lock down what appears to be a major get for us here on the show. Little childhood hero of mine might be coming on the show soon, folks. Very excited about that one. Hit me up over at KPBurkeSucks on Instagram. We got new reels coming out every single week here. New episodes every week here. You want to get them first. You want to get them unedited the way that they're intended to be done, all right? This is Dirtbag NPR I'm doing here for you, folks. Check us out over at Gas Digital. Use promo code LOSER in order to get $1 off a month. You can also enjoy great shows like Legion of Skanks, Zach's Morning Zoo, and then, of course, my boys over at High Society Radio, and, of course, Shannon. The thing is, we love Shannon, even though she runs late, but I love her. What are you going to do? It's just what it is. It's just what it is, folks. Anything else I wanted to say is just really not relevant, folks. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section. I'm KP Burke, and that was Kermit Roosevelt, American Loser.
On the edge they take the throne, built on bones of those unknown. Counted first, never last, still erased from the past.